Dear listener, welcome to our New Life program on Adventist World Radio, the Voice of Hope. My name is Chilen Odhiambo. On our today's show, we are looking at parents' approach to adolescence, puberty in Family Life segment. And later on, we'll be joined with Pastor Kigundu Ndwiga on the Bible segment with his second part on the blessings of faithfulness. First, let us have a song, He Will Hide Me, by Gracious Singers. Stay put.
When the storms of life are raging, tempests wild at sea and land, I will seek a place of refuge in the shadow of God's hand. He will hide me, He will hide me, when no harm can ever betide me. He will hide me, safely hide me in the shadow of His hand. Though He may send some afflictions, till but make me long for home. For in love and not in anger, all His chastenings will come. He will hide me, He will hide me, when no harm can ever betide me. He will hide me, safely hide me in the shadow of His hand. Enemies may strive to injure, Satan all his darts employ. Lord will turn what seems to harm me into everlasting joy. He will hide me, when no harm can ever betide me. He will hide me, safely hide me in the shadow of His hand. So when the cross of Mary, meeting storms and billows wild, Jesus for my soul is caring, naught can harm His Father's child. He will hide me, when no harm can ever betide me. He will hide me, safely hide me in the shadow of His hand.
Welcome back. Praise be to God for His glory is seen in us. Let us look at the parents' approach to adolescence, puberty, as we listen keenly to Juliet Bange, who is in studio with us for the Family Life program. Stay tuned.
Hello, listener. It is another good moment that we bring you yet another family segment. We have been looking at different areas of family life, but today we shall look at how parents should approach the topic of puberty with adolescents. Many parents fear this topic because it involves sensitive issues. We shall throw away those fears and solve this problem once and for all. I am your presenter, Juliet. The teenage years are also called adolescence. During this time, you might begin to see the greatest amount of growth in height and weight in your child. Adolescence is a time of growth, increase, and puberty changes. An adolescent may grow several inches in several months, followed by a period of very slow growth, and then have another growth spurt. Changes with puberty or sexual maturation may occur gradually, or several signs may become visible at the same time. There is a great amount of variation in the rate of changes that occur. Some teenagers may experience these signs of maturity sooner or later than others. Girls experience puberty as a sequence of events, but the pubertal changes usually begin before boys the same age. Each girl is different and may progress through these changes differently. The average age when puberty changes may occur is between 8 and 13 years. This is the beginning of puberty. The first pubertal change is characterized by breast development. Shortly after breast development, pubic hair develops. At 12 years, the hair under the arms also starts to grow. Menstrual periods start at 10 to 16 years old. There are specific stages of development that boys and girls go through when developing secondary sexual characteristics. These are the physical characteristics of males and females that are not involved in reproduction. They include voice changes, body shape, pubic hair distribution, and facial hair. In boys, the initial puberty change is the enlargement of the scrotum and testes. At this point, the male genitalia is not large. Then, as the testes and scrotum continue to enlarge, the genitalia gets longer. Later, it grows in both size and length. In girls, the initial puberty stage is the development of breast buds in which the breast and nipple elevate. The areola, the dark area of skin that surrounds the nipple of the breast, increases in size at this time. The breasts then continue to enlarge. Eventually, the nipples at the areolas will elevate again, forming another projection on the breasts. At the adult stage, only the nipple remains erect. Pubic hair development is similar for both boys and girls. The initial growth of hair produces long, soft hair that is only in a small area around the genitals. This hair then becomes darker and coarser as it continues to spread. The pubic hair eventually looks like adult hair, but in a smaller area. It may spread to the thighs and sometimes up the stomach. What parents and adolescents should know during puberty stage is that the teenage years bring many changes, not only physically, but also mentally and socially. During these years, adolescents increase their ability to think abstractly and eventually make plans and set long-term goals. Each child may progress at a different rate and may have a different view of the world. An adolescent's mental capability consists of developing the ability to think abstractly. It is also concerned with philosophy, politics, and social issues, set goals, and long-term thoughts. Some social issues may directly or indirectly affect an adolescent. For instance, he may want independence from his parents. He may also have long-term commitment in a relationship and may be in love. Peer influence and acceptance becomes very important to them. Male-female relationships also become important. To finish with, you parents should assist your adolescents to develop socially. Encourage them to take on new challenges. Talk with them about not losing sight of themselves in group relations. Encourage them to talk to a trusted adult about problems or concerns, even if it is not you he chooses to talk with. Also discuss ways to manage and handle stress. Well, that marks the end of our program today, where we looked at how parents should understand the child development changes and assist the child to grow positively and socially straight. Remember that at this stage, they may not listen to you fully, but do not give up. Press on. I hope you enjoyed today's topic. Thanks for your company and continued listening. I have been your presenter, Juliet. God bless you.
Thank you, Juliet, for sharing with us parents' approach to adolescence puberty. Dear listener, this is Adventist World Radio. If you have any comments or suggestions on our program, please write to us. Our postal address is Adventist World Radio, PO Box 42276, code 00100, Nairobi, Kenya. Or you can email us through awrnairobi@eku.adventist.org. We're taking a short break as we listen to this song, Until Then, by Gracious Singers. Be blessed.
My heart can sing when I pause to remember. Take it is but a stepping stone.
It's now time for the Bible segment by Pastor Kigundu Ndwiga.
Dear listener, today we will focus on the widow of Zarephath as we are talking about the blessing of faithfulness. The food shortage in her home was starting to reach a crisis level. She had been hoping it would rain, but it looked like the heavens had turned into brass. She kept looking at the sky for hints of rain, but it was futile. She had tried to reduce the daily food intake for her son and herself, but it had not helped. Her heart was becoming heavy-laden as she saw her son developing the first telltale signs of starvation. She could see no light at the end of the tunnel. Starvation leading to a slow, agonizing death was a threat that was looming large over the horizon of her existence. One morning, what she dreaded most came to pass. Looking at the food rations, she found just enough flour and oil to make one meal. She kept hoping against hope that somehow a miracle could happen and change her hopeless situation, but she had learned that the gods of Sidon were unpredictable and unreliable. So on this particular morning, with a heavy heart, she went outside the town of Zarephath to collect some sticks, not firewood, to cook the last meal for herself and her son. As she was lost in thought while gathering the sticks, a travel-worn man wearing a garment of hair and a leather belt around his waist called out to her, requesting her for some water to drink. Providing water to a thirsty stranger was no problem. Providing water did not threaten her livelihood. As she was going to get water for Prophet Elijah, his next request stopped her dead on her tracks. "And bring me, please, a piece of bread," he added. It is important to know that Elijah had come here after getting express directions from the Lord. You see, after Elijah had delivered his bombshell on Ahab, the Lord had directed him to a hideout in the Kerith ravine. God had promised him in 1 Kings 17 verse 4, "You will drink from the brook, and I have ordered the ravens to feed you there." If Elijah were like us, he would have started questioning the logistics of how ravens would feed him and from where they would get the food. However, Elijah knew that God has the ability to do exactly what he has promised. The Bible records in 1 Kings 17 verse 5, "So he did what the Lord told him." Elijah possessed childlike faith as far as God's ability to provide was concerned. True to God's promise, the ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the brook. 1 Kings 17 verse 6. We must remember, dear listener, that Elijah had no tangible evidence that the ravens would feed him. But he decided to take God at his word and rest on his promise. Oh, that the Lord will give us such childlike confidence in his ability to provide. When the brook dried up, God spoke again to Elijah, directing him to where his needs would be supplied. "Go at once to Zarephath of Sidon and stay there. I have commanded a widow in that place to supply you with food." So he went to Zarephath. That is recorded in 1 Kings 17 verse 9 and 10. Even though Zarephath was outside the borders of Israel, we see Elijah making the long journey without asking questions. Oh, what a faith! It is important to underscore that God came through for Elijah because of his willingness to obey. It is a fact that when we choose to be faithful to God, which in essence is what stewardship is all about, our God will always bless us without fail. Now, this brings us back to Zarephath. Elijah has asked for the impossible, and so the widow seems to explain her plight. We must note that God did not send Elijah to those with means, but to a poor widow. This should be a rebuke to us who excuse our refusal to give to the cause of God on the pretext that we are in dire economic hardships. God expects faithfulness from us regardless of our financial and economical situation. Even if we have two mites like the widow depicted in the Gospels, we must give to the cause of God. As surely as the Lord your God lives, I do not have any bread, only a handful of flour in a jar and a little oil in a jug. I am gathering a few sticks to take home and make a meal for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die." That is what is recorded in 1 Kings 17 verse 12 as a response to Elijah. By using the terminology, "as surely as the Lord your God lives," she's taking an oath to tell the truth. What she's expressing is the reality of her situation. She's still operating on the mathematics of subtraction. The Bible records the following in 1 Kings 17 verse 13 and 14. Elijah said to her, "Don't be afraid. Go home and do as you have said. But first make a small cake of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me. And then make something for yourself and your son. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. The jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord gives the rain on the land." As Elijah was talking, the widow started seeing the limitation of her maths of subtraction and decided to embrace the heavenly arithmetic of multiplication. She actually saw God's way as a way out of her desperate situation. Elijah's diagnosis of the widow is true of us. One of the reasons many of us do not give our tithes and offerings is because we are paralyzed by fear. We still embrace the arithmetic of subtraction. We are convinced that if we give tithes and offerings, we'll surely come to financial ruin because there is hardly enough for us and our children to survive on. As we analyze our expenses and compare them with our little income, we are paralyzed with fear. We wonder how we will ever make our ends to meet. When a prophet, in quotes, comes and challenges us to give to God first, we wonder, how are we ever going to survive? Dear listener, we need to cast out our fear and launch out in faith, asking God to graciously assist us to shun our earthly, temporal arithmetic of subtraction and embrace the heavenly, eternal arithmetic of multiplication. As a result of deciding to put God first, by preparing the first cake for Elijah, the widow experienced 3 blessings. The first blessing she has experienced is the daily provision of food for herself and her family. The Bible puts it beautifully in 1 Kings 17 verse 15 to 16. So there was food every day for Elijah and for the woman and for her family. For the jar of flour was not used up, and the jug of oil did not run dry, in keeping with the word of the Lord spoken by Elijah. Because of seeking to put God first, God multiplied her limited resources and she enjoyed the abundant provision of God. Her life was sustained when she chose to lose her life for God's sake. By providing Elijah with food, she was willing to die but be faithful to God. She was putting her life on the line. Let me tell you, dear listener, God always rewards such a faith because that faith is very precious in His sight. Secondly, the second blessing she experienced was the miraculous resurrection of her son. Even though we believe in the resurrection, very few people have been resurrected from the dead. However, God performed a rare miracle just for her to reward her faithfulness. What a testimony of how far God will go to reward a faithful steward. But thirdly, the greatest of all the blessings is her knowledge of the true God of Israel. Knowing God experientially is the greatest knowledge that can ever be accorded to a human being. It is crucial because such a knowledge has eternal ramifications. It was Jesus who said, "Now this is eternal life, that they may know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ whom you have sent." John 17 verse 3. It is true that after Elijah moves from Zarephath, nothing else is heard about that widow. But from the words of Jesus referring to her and from her words to Elijah, "Now I know that you are a man of God and that the word of the Lord from your mouth is the truth," we are sure we will see her in the New Jerusalem. All these blessings, and I am sure many more others that are not recorded, came our way because she decided to put God first. In her own way, she heeded the words of Jesus recorded in Matthew 6 verse 33. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. By shunning her narrow arithmetic of subtraction, she embraced the all-encompassing heavenly arithmetic, the arithmetic of multiplication. So the choice you and I have, will it be the maths of subtraction or multiplication? God is also challenging us as he challenged the widow of Zarephath. He's telling us not to be afraid, but to launch out in faith into a life of faithfulness and obedience to him. He is challenging us in Malachi 3 verse 10. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, and see if I will not open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that you'll not have enough room for it. Dear listener, God is offering us a way to wholeness. It is in giving that we receive. It is in giving up on ourselves that we find ourselves. It is in losing our lives that we find them. God's way, once embraced, leads to life. God is promising to pour an avalanche of blessings upon us if we choose to make him the Lord of our possessions by returning a faithful tithe and a generous offering. Like the widow of Zarephath, God will bless us in ways that transcend our imagination. He is offering us a choice. Do we want to continue embracing our narrow arithmetic of subtraction and perish, or will we reach out and embrace the new arithmetic of multiplication that initiates us into the glorious adventure with God? I pray that you'll join me to embrace the way of the Lord, because it is the only way that leads to life and to wholeness. When we choose to walk on that narrow path of trusting God, then we'll be initiated into the depths of God, where eyes see the invisible, ears hear the inaudible, and minds conceive the inconceivable. It is only then we will experience the blessings of faithfulness. So, dear listener, I leave you with this question. Will it be the arithmetic of subtraction or multiplication? By God's grace, I choose the arithmetic of multiplication.
You have been listening to Pastor Kigundu Ndwiga. For suggestions, comments, or requests on more interesting topics, kindly write to Adventist World Radio, P.O. Box 42276, code 00100, Nairobi, Kenya. Or you can send us an email through awrnairobi@eku.adventist.org.
When the storms of life are raging, tempests wild on sea and land, I will seek a place of refuge in the shadow of God's hand. He will hide me, He will hide me, when no harm can ever betide me. He will hide me, safely hide me in the shadow of His hand. Though He may send some afflictions, till but make me long for home. For in love and not in anger, all His chastenings will come. He will hide me, He will hide me, when no harm can ever betide me. He will hide me, safely hide me in the shadow of His hand. Enemies may strive to injure, Satan all his darts employ. God will turn what seems to harm me into everlasting joy. He will hide me, when no harm can ever betide me. He will hide me, safely hide me in the shadow of His hand. home my soul is caring, not can harm his father's child.